Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel, The Primordial Law. Volume 4, Xuanhuan Dao Sect Twin Rice Sect. Chapter 171 426 Zongsheng Academy, The Sound of Heaven and Earth. 171st of Volume 4. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. The consecutive deaths of two Transcendents sent shockwaves through the realms. Transcendents were revered as ancestors in any faction. Even during the unprecedented Transcendental War 2 years prior, which shook the Lingxiao realm to its core, only 2 or 3 Transcendents had fallen on each side. Yet today, the Coffin Mountain's Forbidden One and the Sacred Dark Family's Transcendent were utterly helpless against Zhenhai Guanwu. The Crown Prince of the Demon Kingdom couldn't even intervene in time. Coffin Mountain, a deathly zone between Coffin Prefecture and the Nether Realm of the Dead, was perpetually shrouded in mystery, its Forbidden One hidden from sight. No one dared provoke it. Zhuoqiu Xuanming, the Southern Territory's foremost figure, had repeatedly attempted to infiltrate Coffin Mountain, yet failed to uncover its location, leaving him hesitant to act rashly. Without absolute certainty of locating and eliminating the Coffin Mountain's Forbidden One, Shu Fodu, and Anshanjing, the combined retaliation from the Transcendents and Great Immortal would inflict unbearable losses on the Zhuoqiu sect. For centuries, the Zhuoqiu sect's rivals had eagerly provided clandestine support to Coffin Mountain, hoping to weaken their adversary. In essence, eliminating a Transcendent was a task as arduous as ascending to the heavens. Martial mystic cultivators at each level had their own means of survival, their own spheres of influence, and their own deterrent capabilities. The interests and safety of all factions were intertwined, not simply a one-on-one dynamic, but a delicate balance where the slightest disturbance could shake the entire system. Today, that balance began to crumble, starting with Lingxiao City. Everyone, let's move out of the city and confront the Mist Celestial. The Crown Prince of the Demon Kingdom noticed Zhenhai Guanwu's psychic power straining to support the crumbling formation. With a solemn expression, he summoned 3 immortal gates and unleashed a surge of 4-colored light from his armor, charging forward to buy time for the others to escape the city. No matter how powerful Zhenhai Guanwu was, he felt no fear, his battle intent burning fiercely, his faith in the martial mystic Dao unwavering. For a martial mystic cultivator, essence, energy, and spirit were paramount. One must possess the indomitable will to crush any obstacle in their path. By slaying Zhenhai Guanwu, his spiritual aura would reach unprecedented heights, allowing him to channel this momentum to break through to the realm of the martial mystic Dao Heavenly Emperor. At the forefront, Lord Lan steered the Yellow Mud Colossal warship, leading the charge toward the gaping hole in the formation directly above Phoenix Terrace. Though the city's formation had been severely damaged by Xuanhuan, Zhenhai Guanwu's formidable psychic power, amplified by the remnants of the formation, still posed a terrifying threat. Only by leaving the city could they shed this disadvantage. Madame Yi stopped playing the zither, steered her carriage, and, enveloped in a sea of characters, surged skyward, the air boiling in her wake. Within the city, the Mist Celestial has the formation and the support of all the martial mystic cultivators. Even if we kill her, the cost will be immense. But beyond the city walls, Lord Lan and I will no longer be constrained, while she will fight alone. With this shift in power, we can reduce the former ancient heavenly emperor to withered bones, her soul scattered, in less than an hour. Yi Qing, the Zongsheng Academy is far from Lingxiao, and the journey is arduous. You shall be buried in the Lingxiao realm. Zhenhai Guanwu's voice echoed from above the sea of characters. The carriage curtains fluttered in the wind. Inside sat a woman in her 30s, regal and elegant, her brow adorned with a painted diadem. An ancient zither rested on her lap as she calmly gazed upward at Zhenhai Guanwu, who had broken free from the Crown Prince of the Demon Kingdom's control. She and Zhenhai Guanwu were heaven's chosen daughters of the same era. The fact that Zhenhai Guanwu remembered her name spoke volumes about her extraordinary talent in her youth. She had been among the most elite figures of Yingzhou's vast continent. If you had said this 1,000 years ago, I would have believed you. But in your current state, Lord Lan and I could defeat you together. 3 of us could kill you, and 4 could slay you without suffering a scratch. Zhenhai Guanwu, do not dwell on past glories. Misjudging your opponent's strength leaves you a chance to survive. Misjudging your own strength guarantees a death without burial. Madame Yi's spirit realm between her eyebrows expanded, causing the space to tremble violently. A vast ocean of spiritual light and starlight materialized before her, as boundless as the cosmic void and as radiant as an immortal sea. The voice of heaven and earth, where sovereign and subject resonate in harmony. Her fingers simultaneously plucked 5 strings of her zither. The 5 forces, sovereign, subject, people, affairs, and things, erupted from the strings in a torrent of power. Though the 3rd Palace Master was a top 10 powerhouse in the Lingxiao realm, Madame Yi, empowered by the Phoenix Terrace formation, had completely suppressed her, preventing her from activating the 9 heavens beyond the clouds' grand formation. This demonstrated the terrifying potency of Madame Yi's psychic power. The five-stringed sounds of heaven and earth harmony struck with unstoppable force, shattering Zhenhai Guanwu's nether river sword qi. The crimson-robed figure exploded into a blood mist, leaving behind only a skeleton. Even the void sword was sent flying. Damn it. That wasn't her true form, it was an illusion. I've been psychically attacked and manipulated by her. Madame Yi's expression twisted as she recalled the characters floating in the air and absorbed them into her eyes. Only then did she realize that Zhenhai Guanwu was engaged in battle with the crown prince of the demon kingdom and Xuanhuan. The five-stringed sounds of heaven and earth harmony she had unleashed had struck the yellow mud colossal warship above, breaching its defenses and leaving 5 deep, scorching marks. Lord Lan stood at the bow of the warship, his expression grave. Madame Yi's sudden attack had made him suspect treachery within their ranks. Below, the crown prince of the demon kingdom unleashed 3 immortal gates, clashing violently with the thunderstrike jade as he retreated steadily toward the Phoenix Terrace. The supreme artifact, now fully activated, radiated overwhelming power. Only the mystical nature of the 3 immortal gates and the crown prince's formidable cultivation allowed them to barely withstand its onslaught. Even then, Zhenhai Guanwu was distracted by the transcendence, preventing her from fully concentrating on controlling the artifact. The second palace master knew she had no retreat. Her only path to survival lay in slaying Zhenhai Guanwu and seizing the other shore heavenly pill. She channeled all her energy into activating the Phoenix Terrace formation. Myriad formation glyphs surged across the sky, pressing down on Zhenhai Guanwu, seeking to bind the thunderstrike jade. As the foremost expert in the Lingxiao realm beneath Yu Yaozi, her combat prowess was extraordinary. Zhenhai Guanwu cast a cold glance toward the Phoenix Terrace before stepping across space, appearing above the yellow mud colossal warship. Seizing the brief opportunity created by Madame Yi's breach of the warship's defenses, she unleashed her full power, unleashing the 8 slashes of the Nether River downward. Behind her, the towering phantom of Nether City flickered briefly before vanishing. Sword chi cascaded like a waterfall from the Nether River, plunging through the heavens. Faced with this sword technique that had once slain a heavenly emperor, Lord Lan felt immense pressure. He braced himself, raising the yellow mud lamp. Divine lamp illuminates the sea of corpses. A dim yellow light blanketed the vast expanse of empty space. Within this ethereal glow, an endless sea of corpses materialized, shrouding the cloud heaven immortal plane like a spectral realm. Whoosh! Nether River sword chi pierced through the lamp's light, causing entire sections of the sea of corpses to collapse into nothingness. Lord Lan, unwilling to risk contact with the void sword, immediately abandoned the yellow mud colossal warship, a treasure of immense value, and activated his escape technique, tearing through the sky. Once unleashed, the 8 slashes of the Nether River became an invincible sword technique, beyond the power of any single individual to withstand. Even Lord Lan, a regional overlord who ruled over dozens of provinces within the Netherrealm, stood no chance. The Zhenhai Guanwu descended onto the yellow mud colossal warship, piloting it into a dive toward Madame Yi below. Out of the corner of her eye, she spotted the Crimson Phoenix and Li Longshu fleeing upward through a hole in the formation. She ignored them. Madame Yi's composure had shifted slightly, losing its earlier serenity. She once again invoked the 5-stringed sounds of heaven and earth harmony, the 5 strings of her zither warping the very fabric of space around her. The 100 Hells wind chime flew from atop the Zhenhai Guanwu's head. Fueled by both Buddhist radiance and azure black spiritual qi, its chimes rang out with deafening intensity, causing the surrounding space to tremble violently. Madame Yi's fingers, gripping the 5 zither strings, were trembling violently, drawing blood. Her psychic power surged chaotically within her. She dared not release her grip. If she did, in her weakened state, the zither's power would first severely injure her. This was the agony of psychic power clashes, the weaker party suppressed invisibly, their techniques rendered useless. Crimson Phoenix and Li Longshu, having fled halfway, saw Zhenhai Guanwu fully engaged with Madame Yi. Seizing the rare opportunity, they exchanged a glance. Whoosh! Whoosh! Each unleashed their strongest battle technique, pivoting back into the fray. No matter how strong she is, she's still just one person. One strike could cripple her. Li Longshu's 7 treasures wondrous tree transformed into a towering earth demon pine, its colossal form radiating the combined power of 7 spiritual artifacts. Like 7 suspended starlight, it crashed down upon Zhenhai Guanwu. Heavenly Emperor's Phoenix Flame. Crimson Phoenix spat forth southern brightfire. The fire coalesced into a 100-jong-wide river of flame, surging relentlessly toward Zhenhai Guanwu. Within this fiery torrent lay a wisp of the flying phoenix's Heavenly Emperor's Phoenix Flame, capable of incinerating any living being below the martial mystic Tao Heavenly Emperor. Zhenhai Guanwu turned her head. Within her ancestral field, 2 other shore heavenly pills spun rapidly as she unleashed a boundless nether river with a single sword strike. The Nether River sword chi, with its overwhelming force, cleaved through the 7 treasures wondrous tree, shattering its branches and rotting its trunk. 3 of the 7 spiritual artifacts exploded, while the remaining 4 soared beyond the heavens, plummeting hundreds of miles away onto the immortal plane. Boom! The nether river struck Li Longshu, who screamed as his body erupted into a cloud of blood mist. All his protective treasures shattered. Half his body was reduced to bone as he was flung through the tattered city protecting formation's light barrier, crashing outside the city walls. He lay motionless, his fate uncertain. A powerful transcendent who had lived for 2 to 3,000 years, capable of founding a sect and establishing a legacy, had fallen before a single slash of the nether river. Zhenhai Guanwu decisively abandoned her attack on Madame Yi and flew toward the Crimson Phoenix. Spiritual light flame erupted from the mind realm between her eyebrows, colliding with the surging southern brightfire in a fiery clash as she rapidly closed the distance to the Crimson Phoenix. A single breath of Heavenly Emperor's phoenix flame is insufficient. Seeing Zhenhai Guanwu completely disregard both the southern brightfire and the Heavenly Emperor's phoenix flame, the Crimson Phoenix's expression twisted in alarm. He spread his wings, attempting to exploit his superior speed to escape. Zhenhai Guanwu attacked Li Longshu and the Crimson Phoenix. Sensing the pressure of her psychic power easing, Madame Yi immediately unleashed the 5 strings. Whoosh! Whoosh! 5 layers of string-patterned light waves shattered all energy between her and Zhenhai Guanwu, chasing after the retreating figure. Even the yellow mud colossal warship was sent flying by the string-patterned light waves. Zhenhai Guanwu's long hair danced wildly as her killing intent surged. Activating the 100 Hells Wind chime, she prepared to withstand the pursuing attack. She caught up to the Crimson Phoenix and, with a burst of spiritual light flame from the spirit realm between her eyebrows, incinerated the creature, reducing it to a screaming, charred husk. The Crimson Phoenix desperately mobilized over 10,000 spiritual artifacts to defend itself, but they instantly melted into golden droplets, transforming into a golden rain. Its body rapidly expanded, transforming into its massive Luan bird form. Under the relentless burning of Zhenhai Guanwu's brow flame, within mere breaths, its feathers were consumed, and its body collapsed into a blackened mountain, plummeting from the sky, its soul spirit utterly annihilated. Another transcendent had fallen. The legend of the 5 Luan had endured for millennia. From this day forward, the legend of the 5 Luan became a relic of the past. The demon race was now reduced to 4 Luan birds. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 4, Xuansheng Dao Sect Twin Rice Sect. Chapter 172, 427, The City Falls. 172nd of Volume 4. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. Blood streamed from the corner of Zhenhai Guanwu's mouth. Her reckless killing had come at a price. The 100 Hells Wind chime couldn't fully block the power of the 5-stringed harmony sounds of heaven and earth. 5 waves of concussive force struck her fragile body, inflicting grievous wounds. Boom. During the clash, Zhenhai Guanwu had only committed a fraction of her power to controlling the Thunderstrike Jade, allowing the Demon Kingdom Crown Prince to escape. The Crown Prince used the Cloudveil Immortal Gate's close-range protective barrier and the Stellar Immortal Gate's long-range defenses. He then manipulated the Wind Thunder Immortal Gate to smash into Lingxiao City's West City, hoping to force Zhenhai Guanwu to abandon her pursuit of Li Longshu and the Crimson Phoenix and rush to the city's rescue. But he had miscalculated. Zhenhai Guanwu refused to be drawn into his tactical game. Her resolve to eliminate Li Longshu and the Crimson Phoenix remained unwavering. Unless she systematically annihilated as many transcendent beings as possible, she couldn't afford to divide her attention. Moreover, allowing the enemy to exploit her emotional vulnerabilities would spell utter disaster for everyone within Lingxiao City. Boom. The Wind Thunder Immortal Gate's impact shattered over 20 miles of the West City's walls. The 3 city blocks closest to the wall saw their defensive formations collapse entirely, and every structure crumbled. Within moments, hundreds of thousands of civilians, even Dao Seed Realm Martial Mystic cultivators, perished instantly. The Demon Kingdom Crown Prince's full-force strike was devastating beyond imagination. Of course, had the city-protecting formation remained intact, unbroken by the Phoenix Terrace's attack and with the Qilin Terrace unscathed, it could have withstood the blow. The secret duel before the battle had ended in a draw. Without the efforts of Li Wei, the Zhuli Hidden Sect, the Zhuoqiu clan, the West Sea Slave Veterans, and Yao Qingshan, the current situation would have been impossible. The Wind Thunder Immortal Gate, 100 zhong tall, stood amidst the ruins of West City, its wind and thunder roaring deafeningly. The wind transformed into heavenly blades, while the thunder manifested as 100 beasts. The combined force of wind and thunder surged into the city like a tidal wave. Whoosh! Chen Su, a transcendent official of the imperial court, emerged from hiding and appeared in the alleyway closest to the Wind Thunder Immortal Gate in West City. Wielding the power of 36 earth veins, he countered the overwhelming wind and thunder sweeping toward the city. Above each prefectural domain, the prefectural governor's official seals flew toward West City, coalescing into a magnificent defensive barrier. Zhenhai Guanwu, using her psychic power, channeled the remnants of the city protecting formation. Instantly, countless formation scriptures, auroras, and lightning bolts twisted into a vortex, descending from the heavens alongside her to crash into the Phoenix Terrace. Boom. The 900 jong tall Phoenix Terrace was pierced through by the strike, causing massive sections of the mountain to collapse. Zhenhai Guanwu personally destroyed the palace complex she had built. The second palace master of Phoenix Terrace, having broken free from the 9 heavens beyond the clouds' grand formation suppression, escaped before the terrace collapsed. The Demon Kingdom Crown Prince, carrying 2 immortal gates, flew toward West City from the mountainside. Over 20 miles of West City's walls had crumbled, and the city protecting formation's foundation was severely damaged, leaving a massive breach. Zhenhai Guanwu traversed space, relentlessly pursuing the Demon Kingdom Crown Prince, denying him the chance to kill Chen Su. The void sword in her hand vibrated, its clang growing sharper with each strike. Whoosh! Rumble! The second palace master and Madame Yi dove down from either side, flanking Zhenhai Guanwu in a triangular formation alongside the Demon Kingdom Crown Prince. Master, you won't stand by and watch Lingxiao City become a ghost town. You have compassion in your heart. You can deceive everyone else, but not me. The second palace master's body was engulfed in a halo of Buddhist light and a surging nether river, leaving only 2 battle swords visible in his hands. Her imposing aura shattered every formation cast by Duke Tai Shi and the third palace master. Madame Yi descended in her chariot, its wheels thundering like thunder. The rebirthed Qin's strings resonated with the sounds of battlefield slaughter, her solitary figure commanding the presence of a million-strong army. Zhenhai Guanwu swung her left arm backward, and from the vortex center of the city-protecting formation, the thunderstrike jade shot forth. Empowered by the formation's momentum and the energy of the supreme spiritual artifact, it transformed into a colossal jade bracelet a mile in diameter. Boom! Electric arcs illuminated the 10 cubes. The thunderstrike jade spun outward, soaring into the sky and crushing the rebirthed Qin's murderous melody as if cleaving heaven and earth in 2. Bang! Bang! Inside the carriage, Madame Yi's 12 layers of defensive formations were shattered one by one. The thunderstrike jade hurled the carriage skyward, where it exploded into fragments. PFF'd. Madame Yi, a psychic master with a relatively weak physical body, was struck by the jade. Her lower half was obliterated, leaving only her torso and head. Clutching the rebirthed Qin, she stared at the blood mist that had been her lower body and let out a piercing scream. Whoosh! The void sword, like a white rainbow piercing the sun, shot upward from below, bisecting Madame Yi's upper body. Her brow center spirit realm shattered simultaneously. The spirit realm, her innate world, collapsed, dissolving into the void. This formidable figure, a contemporary of Zhenhai Guanwu, met her end in the Lingxiao realm, leaving no trace of her remains. The Demon Kingdom Crown Prince glanced skyward, his brow furrowed. He sensed Zhenhai Guanwu's overwhelming ferocity, a ruthless determination to eliminate her opponent at any cost. Facing such an opponent tested one's courage and composure to the extreme. The Demon Kingdom Crown Prince landed atop the Wind Thunder Immortal Gate, which stood amidst the ruins of the city. With his back to the shattered city walls and the Cloud Heaven Immortal Plain, he turned to face Zhenhai Guanwu, who had already caught up. Without the Void Sword and Thunderstrike Jade, chasing me now is just courting death, isn't it? Zhenhai Guanwu didn't pause. Cloud Veil, Wind Thunder, Starlight. The Demon Kingdom Crown Prince immediately channeled the power of the 3 immortal gates, unleashing a holy fist strike, fierce, domineering, and imbued with divine power. He refused to believe that Zhenhai Guanwu's fragile mortal body would dare to clash with him head-on without relying on the power of a supreme spiritual artifact. Zhenhai Guanwu shielded herself with the 100 Hells Wind Chime, countering with a palm print that pierced through the combined forces of the 3 immortal sects, closing the distance. Boom! 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 Fists and palms collided, figures shifting in a blur. The space trembled, as if 2 demonic gods were locked in combat. In an instant, Zhenhai Guanwu's arms shattered into bare bone. Her right hand, now a skeletal palm, struck the Demon Kingdom Crown Prince's chest with the force of a divine bell, the metallic clang reverberating for miles. Boom! The 4-colored immortal haze armor on the Demon Kingdom Crown Prince's chest caved inward, sending him flying dozens of miles away to crash outside Lingxiao City. Regaining his footing, he braced his legs, spread his arms wide, and channeled his spiritual chi like a surging river. Layers of vast demonic clouds erupted from beneath his feet, spreading outward in waves. Zhenhai Guanwu struck again with lightning speed, her white bone right arm, 2 fingers gripping her sword, piercing the Demon Kingdom Crown Prince's chest armor at its weakest point. She then shifted her grip, transforming her fingers into a palm, and delivered another crushing blow. Too fast. The Crown Prince could see her movements, yet he couldn't block them. Her psychic power suppressed his soul spirit and intent, slowing his reaction time and rendering him helpless. Boom. The Crown Prince was sent flying over 300 miles, carving a deep ravine across the immortal plains. Blood gushed from his mouth and nose, and crimson stained the shattered armor on his chest. Zhenhai Guanwu's earlier two-fingered strike had pierced his heart. She couldn't pursue. As her palm struck the crown prince, the second palace master, who had arrived from behind, pierced her back with her sword. Her crimson robes and the 100 hells wind chime blocked the blade, but not the shockwave. Blood streamed from Zhenhai Guanwu's 7 orifices. Crimson cracks spider-webbed across her chest and back, her spiritual qi in utter chaos. The second palace master struck with ruthless efficiency, her other sword crackling with lightning as she aimed for her neck. Swish. Zhenhai Guanwu shifted her form, teleporting away with staggering steps. Backed against the ruins of Lingxiao City's West City, she flicked her fingers, using her psychic power to manipulate 36 earth veins. They twisted into 36 earth dragons, which slammed into the second palace master. She parried with one sword and blocked with the other. But it wasn't enough. Boom. Rumble. The second palace master was struck by the combined force of 36 earth veins, shattering her defenses and sending her flying backward. Her flesh and blood were continuously eroded, her bones snapped one by one as she skidded across the ground for thousands of miles southward. Lord Lan descended from the sky, his lantern shattering the earth veins. Attack. The second palace master slowly rose, now a figure drenched in blood. After swallowing an imperial medicine, she declared, her bones are those of the former martial mystic Dao Heavenly Emperor, but her flesh, blood, and qi are newly formed. This is her greatest weakness. Furthermore, she likely acquired Elder Sister's 2 other Shore Heavenly pills only recently and hasn't fully integrated them. The spiritual qi within her body isn't entirely under her control. Attack her internal organs and ancestral field. Shatter her new body and disrupt her spiritual qi. Zhenhai Guanwu stood beneath the collapsed western city wall, retrieving the Thunderstrike Jade and Void Sword. She secretly circulated her cultivation technique to regulate her breathing, already hearing the cries of the Azure Phoenix echoing from the western horizon. Using psychic power, she transmitted her instructions to Duke Tai Shi and the Third Palace Master, open the North City Gate and evacuate as many as possible. All intercept all enemies to the south. The North Heavenly Gate, guarded by Snow Sword Tang Court, remains our only path to survival. Little Zhang, hold your position within the city and focus on repairing the formation art. Conger, assist Huodi in maintaining the Immortal Origin formation. Hold out as long as you can. East of the Cloud Heaven Immortal Plain, the sun gradually rose. Its rays struck the 3,000 Zhang high cliffs of the Immortal Plains, causing the formation's barrier to reflect a dazzling golden radiance. The county town undergoing the blood sacrifice lay 280 li from the cliffs. The Divine Wing Marquis stood atop the town's tallest watchtower, his gaze piercing 150 li into the distance, his golden eyes blazing with murderous intent. Far off, the young man in purple official robes wielded a strange spear, blocking Luo Tian's path. The 3 Bloodwing clan elders, each carrying a formation flag, were forced to retreat and counterattack. The Windchaser beast, gravely wounded, flew into the town and collapsed in an open space, using psychic power to report its ordeal to the Divine Wing Marquis. Enraged, the Marquis drew the 2-meter-long 1,000-character artifact, the Ice Soul Bow. No arrows. Locking his intent onto Li Wei, he drew back the bowstring. Immortal qi from his body converged on the string, solidifying into an icy arrow. Thwack. The air above the entire county town shuddered. The icy arrow, trailing a long, frosty tail, shot across 150 li. The instant Li Wei felt the Marquis's intent lock onto him, he sensed the danger and immediately dodged. Guided by the Marquis's intent, the arrow didn't fly in a straight line, but relentlessly pursued Li Wei. At the last moment, Li Wei transformed into a ball of purple mist, crossed space, and took refuge within the formation plate erected by the 3 Bloodwing clan elders. Boom. The icy arrow streaked past the formation plate and struck the ground, leaving a crystalline trail of ice stretching over 10 miles through the mountain forest. Even the arrow's near miss shattered the formation plate with its explosive energy. Swish. Swish. Seizing the opportunity, Li Wei unleashed 3 body-fixing talismans, which struck the 3 Bloodwing clan elders, all at the 6th heaven of the Dao Seed realm. Summoning the Yellow Dragon Sword, he transformed into a series of afterimages. Before the eyes of the Demon Kingdom's Immortal Realm giant, he decapitated all 3 elders in a single breath. Standing in knee-deep snow, Li Wei held a spear in one hand and a blood-drenched sword in the other. He gazed at the county town shrouded in blood mist, 150 miles away, and shouted, "You can't kill me from this distance." In the next instant, Li Wei pursued young Marquis Luo Tian, who had fled a mile away. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 4, Xuanhuan Dao Sect Twin Rice Sect. Chapter 173, 428, A Single Sword Strike. 173rd of Volume 4. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. Wielding the serpent spear and protected by the blood chi and crimson scriptures of his blood handprint demonic armor, the young Marquis streaked across the snowy plains like a crimson comet, hurtling toward the county town over 100 miles away. His heart ached, the headless corpse of his sister stored in his cosmic pouch. He gripped the serpent spear tightly, his eyes burning with boundless killing intent. Yet he dared not pause for even a moment, his earlier arrogance and confidence completely shattered. Though his opponent had relied on a powerful artifact, their strategic acumen and battle technique were undeniably exceptional. More importantly, the youth remained composed throughout, as if everything were entirely within his control. Behind him, a piercing whistle grew louder, closing the distance rapidly. Whoosh! Li Wei traversed space, a swirling vortex of purple mist materializing above the young Marquis's head. The moment Li Wei stepped out of the vortex, the serpent spear shot upward like lightning. Cultivators of the young Marquis's caliber possessed an uncanny ability to seize opportunities, even in the direst circumstances. Attack and defense, escape and kill, these transitions had to be executed in an instant. Undaunted, Li Wei parried with his sword. Shik! The clash of sword and serpent spear erupted in a shower of sparks, the screech of metal on metal piercing the air. The serpent spear's overwhelming force sent Li Wei flying back 20 meters, his landing scattering snow in a violent spray. As expected, Li Wei thought, one must always remain vigilant and never underestimate any martial mystic cultivator. Earlier, Li Wei's psychic power had been focused on the distant county seat, wary of the immense pressure from the immortal realm great power. This had diminished his attention on the young Marquis, allowing the latter to catch him off guard. The young Marquis's timing in shifting between offense and defense was flawless. The chase continued. Within 100 miles of the county seat, Li Wei intercepted the young Marquis. The two clashed fiercely, spear against spear. Li Wei kept most of his attention fixed on the county seat, unwilling to relax his guard. 7 phoenix-winged moth emperors emerged, each unleashing their innate Dao techniques. In an instant, Li Wei seized an opening and sent the young Marquis flying with a spear strike. Though the blood handprint demonic armor absorbed part of the impact, the young Marquis still suffered severe injuries, blood gushing from his mouth. The 7 phoenix-winged moth emperors were at the 4th heaven realm, yet their combat prowess rivaled that of 5th and 6th heaven martial mystic cultivators. How could the young Marquis possibly fight 8 opponents alone? Within the county town, the Divine Wing Marquis had never been so enraged. To be challenged by a Dao Seed Realm martial mystic cultivator was an utter disgrace. He glanced behind him at the sacrificial rites, now more than halfway complete. The 4 10-foot-long bloodwings unfurled from his back. With a thunderous flap, spiritual chi and gale force winds swept through the town. Swish! Swish! Dozens of foot-long blood feathers, enveloped in a river of spiritual chi, shot toward the snowy plains 90 miles away. Each blood feather was far superior to ordinary spiritual artifacts, imbued with the Bloodwing Marquis's primordial essence blood, allowing him to control them even across vast distances. Boom! 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 A horizontal slash across the abdomen, a thrust into the heart, and a mid-air strike to the shoulder. Li Wei moved with fluid grace, unleashing 3 consecutive spear strikes that completely shattered the young Marquis's defenses. The young Marquis collapsed to his knees, his internal organs damaged, shoulder bones fractured, and blood streaming from his 7 orifices. He slumped forward, unconscious. Li Wei had spared his life. Such a young prodigy, riding a wind-chasing beast, could hardly have a simple background. Keeping him alive might lure out the immortal realm great power lurking within the town. Sensing dozens of blood feathers entering his psychic field, Li Wei didn't dare lower his guard. He fully activated the defensive capabilities of his inner blood handprint demonic armor and outer governor's robe. The blood feathers flew from above the emerald pine forest, forming dozens of luminous silhouettes of strange birds. They swooped down from all directions, coiling and twisting as they attacked Li Wei. Boom! Boom! Li Wei wielded a sword in one hand and a spear in the other, his movements fluid and unpredictable. He leapt upward, teleported through space, and shattered the blood feathers with each strike. Soon, only a dozen remained. The willpower of the immortal realm great power within the city retracted them, causing them to vanish into the horizon. At this distance, you still can't touch me, Li Wei shouted again, desperate to provoke the immortal realm great power into leaving the city. Stop wasting your feathers, or you'll end up bald. He had no confidence in facing the great power within the city walls. When no response came, Li Wei approached the young Marquis, retrieving his serpent spear and removing the blood handprint demonic armor. He took the young Marquis's cosmic pouch, dumped Luo Yi's corpse from it, and stripped her of her blood handprint demonic armor. 3 7th grade 100-character artifact spears lay within the pouch. Suddenly, Li Wei's eyes sharpened as he sensed a terrifying aura entering the edge of his psychic power field, approaching with unparalleled speed. At that speed, the attacker would arrive within a few breaths. Did I really provoke him? Can a great power of the immortal realm be this impatient? Li Wei sheathed the myriad manifestation staff spear, affixed the electric escape talisman given by Tai Shi Yu to his body, gripped the yellow dragon sword in one hand, and hoisted the young marquis as a shield with the other. Boom! With a thunderous roar, Li Wei's body transformed into a bolt of lightning and vanished from his position. Barely had he moved when a Qi Trace Dao technique tore through the space where he had stood moments before. The Divine Wing Marquis was indeed enraged, but his reckless attack on the county town stemmed primarily from recognizing the extraordinary treasures Li Wei carried. Rescuing his beloved son came second, with anger as the final motive. Empowered by the electric escape talisman, Li Wei's speed temporarily rivaled that of a newly ascended Immortal Realm expert. He knew this speed alone wouldn't suffice to escape the Divine Wing Marquis. The next few dozen breaths would present an unprecedented challenge. The Yellow Dragon Sword bore a Divine Sword talisman, forged by Duke Tai Shi, capable of slaying Immortal Realm great powers. On his back, Li Wei wore the 1,000-character artifact cloak given by Tang Wanzhou, which contained the full-force strike of the dragon-headed camel. These were his two most powerful offensive techniques. However, Li Wei's current gap in strength compared to an Immortal Realm great power was immense. His opponent could kill him from miles away without even needing to approach. The fact that the great power hadn't used long-range spiritual artifacts suggested they were afraid of harming the hostage in Li Wei's grasp. This resolved Li Wei's most pressing concern. Secondly, the great power's speed was terrifying. If they got too close, Li Wei might not even have time to activate the Divine Sword talisman before being incapacitated. The engagement distance had to be precisely calculated. Thirdly, Immortal Realm great powers possessed an incredibly sharp sense of danger and lightning-fast reaction times. In essence, Li Wei's greatest advantage was his weakness. No matter how cautious the Immortal Realm great power might be, they would inevitably underestimate him. Li Wei glanced back at the Grand Palace mistress on his back. Her eyes remained tightly shut, her breathing even. Even after calling her name repeatedly, she showed no response. Zhenhai Guanwu had claimed that carrying her would act as a protective talisman, but its reliability remained uncertain. Here it comes. The Crimson Dao Heart manifestation descended upon Li Wei like 1,000 shackles. Li Wei, who had been sprinting at full speed, suddenly shuddered as his momentum plummeted, slowing to a crawl. Though the Divine Wing Marquis remained 3 miles away, his oppressive presence had already rendered Li Wei virtually immobile. Spiritual qi coalesced into misty chains, coiling around his arms and legs in ever-tightening loops. Then we'll die together. Today, I've already slain 9 Dao seeds from the Demon Kingdom, that's enough. Li Wei deliberately feigned desperation, veins bulging on his face as he roared with feigned defiance. Summoning every ounce of strength, he raised his arm within the Marquis's Dao Heart manifestation and slashed at the young Marquis. How dare you! The Divine Wing Marquis spread all 4 of his wings, swooping low as he bellowed. His willpower surged across the distance, attempting to intercept Li Wei's attack. The battle technique intent of an Immortal Realm great power could easily crush the soul spirit of a 5 Seas realm martial mystic cultivator across miles. Dao Seed realm cultivators, having begun cultivating their soul spirits, possessed some resistance. Prepared for this, Li Wei summoned the spiritual light of the Fusong Divine Tree to shield against the Marquis's willpower attack. In his mind, the Marquis's form towered even higher than the Fusong Divine Tree, radiating overwhelming pressure. The Fusong Divine Tree couldn't withstand the full force, but it bought him precious seconds. Seizing this fleeting opportunity, Li Wei activated the Divine Sword talisman on the Yellow Dragon Sword. Countless runes erupted across the blade's surface, glowing with divine light. 1,000 years ago, special envoys dispatched by the Lingxiao Palace on missions carried Divine Sword talismans, specifically designed to intimidate and slay Immortal Realm martial mystic cultivators, akin to the Imperial Sword. To Li Wei's surprise, the Divine Sword talisman hadn't even been activated when a pained scream echoed from a mile away. The Divine Wing Marquis plummeted from the sky, clutching his head as blood streamed from his eyes and nose. Terrified, he stumbled backward, abandoning his pursuit of Li Wei. Moments earlier, the Divine Wing Marquis had unleashed a devastating battle technique intent attack, intending to crush Li Wei's consciousness and obliterate his soul spirit. Instead, he suffered a catastrophic backlash. An unknown force of willpower surged back with overwhelming force, severely damaging his soul spirit and shattering his mental focus. Unbeknownst to the Divine Wing Marquis, Li Wei carried Yu Yaozi on his back. Sensing the danger from the Immortal Realm martial mystic cultivator's murderous intent and battle technique intent attack, Yu Yaozi had automatically retaliated with a counterstrike of willpower. The timing couldn't have been better. Li Wei activated the Yellow Dragon Sword, and the Divine Sword talisman's runes erupted from the blade. Sword chi tore through the surrounding landscape, pulverizing vegetation into dust. Boom! A single strike cleaved through the snowy plains, carving a 20-mile-long ravine. The sword chi trench stretched from Li Wei's feet to the distant horizon, reaching depths of 6 to 7 meters and widening to the width of a river channel. Could this be the power of a talisman? Li Wei froze in place, taking a deep breath of the frigid air. He enveloped the young Marquis in spiritual chi, activated his body technique, and dashed toward the end of the sword chi ravine, 20 miles away. The Divine Wing Marquis's body lay scattered in pieces across several miles. His armor remained relatively intact, save for a gaping hole in the abdomen where the yellow dragon sword had pierced through. Clang! Li Wei retrieved the yellow dragon sword from the depths of the earth. Gripping the hilt, he sighed inwardly. He had only crafted one divine sword talisman. Such a rune was far more valuable as a deterrent than as a one-time weapon. Having lost the divine sword talisman, Li Wei immediately searched for the Divine Wing Marquis's cosmic pouch. He found nothing. Whether the pouch had been destroyed by the talisman's power or the Marquis simply hadn't possessed one remained a mystery. The only item he recovered was a 2-meter-long bow. With no time to examine its quality, Li Wei tossed the bow into his blood-mud space, collected the damaged armor, and carried the young Marquis toward the distant county town. 7 or 8 miles from the town, Li Wei employed various methods to probe the area. After confirming the absence of other Immortal Realm experts within the town, he led 7 phoenix-winged moth emperors and their swarming insect armies to attack the town. Boom! The purple heaven thunder seal shattered the town's defensive formation. The 7 phoenix-winged moth emperors and their 7 insect armies surged into the town from both the ground and the sky, their advance relentless. The county town's defensive formation was weak. By the time the Demon Kingdom's experts arrived, they had only managed to deploy a great formation to conceal the entire town. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel, The Primordial Law. Volume 4, Xuanhuan Dao Sect Twin Rice Sect. Chapter 174 429 Fragrant Rice Fields, Throughout the Land. 174th of Volume 4. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. The spiritual master who had previously besieged Li Wei, riding a deer-like exotic beast, stood atop the county town's tallest building, holding his breath in fear as Li Wei entered the town. The Divine Wing Marquis himself had personally intervened, yet failed to return. What exactly had caused that distant, earth-shattering explosion? The spiritual master demanded coldly, "Who are you? Where's the Marquis?" Li Wei glanced at him from afar. The spiritual master's heart trembled. Already haunted by a premonition of doom, he slapped a talisman onto his body, turned, and fled, vanishing into the forest outside the town at top speed. Li Wei stared in astonishment. This was a 7-star spiritual master with profound mastery of talismans. Why would he flee without even putting up a fight? Li Wei didn't pursue. After searching the area, he found no trace of the windchaser beast. Leaping from rooftop to rooftop, he raced toward the source of the blood mist. Landing on the watchtower where the spiritual master had stood, he gazed at the 100-meter-wide cavern entrance nearby. At the cavern's mouth, countless civilians were being herded like cattle. It was indeed a blood sacrifice, and the offerings weren't livestock, but human beings. At that moment, the swarm of insects led by the 7 phoenix-winged moth emperors was locked in fierce combat with 70 to 80 Demon Kingdom experts. The surviving humans scattered in panic. Don't let a single one escape. Kill them all. Li Wei's eyes flashed with cold resolve as he struggled to suppress his surging emotions. He channeled an endless stream of spiritual chi into the purple heaven thunder seal in his palm. The thunder seal soared into the air, expanding to several dozen meters in size, and crashed into the entrance of the underground cave. Instantly, violet lightning crackled through the cave, dispersing the blood mist and causing the ground to crumble with deafening roars. The blood sacrifice was interrupted. The blood-red patterns that had been spreading across the ground vanished. Li Wei, riding the luminous silhouette of a yellow dragon, descended to the cave entrance. Raising his sword overhead, he channeled the 6-jaw-yang lightning and unleashed a series of downward strikes before leaping into the darkness below. The altar was constructed deep underground, in a vast, cavernous space. As Li Wei landed atop the altar, the air reeked of a nauseatingly pungent stench of blood. He surveyed his surroundings. Beneath the altar stretched a veritable blood sea, its crimson depths teeming with countless white bones. For a fleeting moment, his heart stopped beating. There was no doubt, the majority of the city's inhabitants had been sacrificed here. This was the war of extermination. This was a battle for the survival of the entire living realm. No one could remain neutral, either fight or die. Li Wei felt no heart-wrenching grief, only a profound silence. With a single palm strike, he shattered the young Marquis into pieces, tossing the remains into the blood sea. The fragments mingled indistinguishably with the countless white bones already submerged there. Boom. Channeling his spiritual chi, Li Wei summoned the purple heaven thunder seal and utterly destroyed the altar. With a leap, he soared back to the ground. Within the county town, the cacophony of battle cries, screams of agony, insect chirps, collapsing buildings, and the desperate shouts of survivors coalesced into utter chaos. A heavy weight pressed on Li Wei's chest. He stood utterly still, gazing toward the distant cloud heaven immortal plain. The 3,000 jong high cliff face was shrouded in a luminous barrier. The crimson patterns on the barrier rapidly faded. From the summit of the immortal plains, deafening roars of wind thunder echoed, and a dim yellow light illuminated the surroundings. The ground trembled violently as sword light stretched 10,000 jong into the sky. The intensity of the battle there was palpable, as if celestial gods were clashing in a divine duel. What was the outcome of the transcendent confrontation? Were Tai Shi Bai, Tai Shi Yu, and Xuanhuan still alive? A wave of perception swept over Li Wei, like a gentle breeze brushing his face. Damn it! A giant of the longevity realm is probing with their intent. The commotion here must have alerted the demon kingdom's powerhouses at other blood sacrifice altars. Li Wei sprinted toward the city gate, recalling all 7 phoenix-winged moth emperors. He then activated the final life-preserving talisman Tai Shi Yu had given him, the Divine Swiftness Talisman, and fled eastward at breakneck speed. By the time the Divine Swiftness Talisman's power waned, Li Wei had already covered over 400 miles from the county town, arriving in a hilly, mountainous region dotted with tombstones and burial mounds. Looking back, he could no longer see the cloud heaven immortal plain. Only the sun climbed higher in the sky. His pursuers hadn't followed, clearly prioritizing guarding the altar. Li Wei could predict the fate of the surviving townspeople, but he was powerless to intervene. He buried this helplessness deep within his heart, resolving to cultivate diligently, striving to one day change this cruel world and usher in an era of justice and light. What's that fragrant smell? Li Wei turned south. A vast cloud of fine golden powder drifted through the air, sweeping over the hills and past him, racing northward. Soon, the entire surroundings shimmered with gold. The powder swirled in the wind, transforming the sky into a pale golden hue. The golden powder settled on the ground and vanished instantly. Li Wei sensed something was amiss. He held his breath, drew the myriad manifestation staff spear, and scanned his surroundings warily. From the staff spear's tail, the earth spirit child chuckled merrily, its voice ringing with delight. What is it? Li Wei asked. The earth spirit child told him that the yin qi beneath the ground was rapidly intensifying. Crack. A tombstone several meters away, where the powder had settled, immediately emitted a faint golden glow. Behind the tombstone, a rotting hand clawed its way out of the earth. A horrifying sight unfolded before Li Wei's eyes. From the grave mound, a decaying corpse clawed its way out with unnatural speed. The corpse's tattered robes hung loosely, its mouth opened in a silent shriek, revealing rows of sharp teeth, and golden flames burned in its eye sockets. Smelling the scent of the living, it charged toward Li Wei in a half-run, half-leap. Li Wei swung his staff, shattering the corpse into pieces. Crack. Whoosh. Across the entire hill, corpses erupted from their graves one after another, some already reduced to bare bones. It's the fragrance of rice. Corpse cultivation rice has finally spread across the land. From the endless corpses beneath the earth, rice corpse yin soldiers have risen, sweeping across the 28 prefectures. They devour every living person they encounter, until all humans in the living realm are consumed. Their speed and strength are more than double that of ordinary humans. In moments, Li Wei was surrounded by hundreds of rice corpses. Boom. Li Wei unleashed his Dao Heart manifestation, sending the rice corpses flying. He then turned east and fled. Along the way, endless waves of rice corpses surged forward, drawn by the scent of living flesh, lunging to devour and attack. Even with Li Wei's cultivation, he secretly worried about exhausting his spiritual qi and physical strength, as the hordes seemed inexhaustible. Centered on Fu Prefecture, the power of corpse cultivation rice has engulfed several prefectures, including Chu Prefecture and Liang Prefecture. As the fragrance of rice spreads, countless rice corpse yin soldiers will awaken, becoming predators across the entire living realm. I can only hope the Zhuoqiu clan breaches the twin rice sect's cultivation headquarters soon, resolving this cataclysmic disaster at its source. 700 miles away, Master Guan, a blood-mud man, arrived from the east and stood atop a mountain peak, gazing at the sky blanketing rice powder stretching to the horizon. The corpse cultivation rice has finally erupted. They intend to transform the Lingxiao realm into a rice realm. A voice of exquisite beauty echoed, the Lingxiao realm is the perfect place to cultivate benevolent rice. Within a short time, we can produce vast numbers of rice folk to mine, retrieve coffins, and forge spiritual artifacts, resolving the demon kingdom's critical shortages of weapons and provisions. Yu Daojun's support for the twin rice sect and establishment of the rice realm will be his greatest achievement, giving him the upper hand in the power struggles within Xiaoyao capital. If he fails now, demon consort Chang Yulu and her ruthless allies will seize the opportunity to strike. Sha Jin ascended the mountain, her breathtakingly beautiful eyes scanning the cloud heaven immortal plain. She saw clusters of blood mist shrouding the immortal plains like cages. Enveloped in spiritual radiance and fragrant mist, she wore a green gauze feather robe, her figure exquisitely sculpted. Through the hazy veil, one could glimpse her impossibly long jade-like legs and snow-white arms. Sha Jin, the demon of Qixia Lake, was one of the 4 great demon kings of the Lingxiao realm, and its most beautiful. She asked doubtfully, "Uncle Master, you wouldn't be lying to us, would you?" If the Mist Heavenly Sovereign had truly returned, the Cloud Heaven Immortal Plane wouldn't be in such a state. She would have settled everything with a single sword strike long ago. Master Guan erupted in a furious tirade. "This old man risked everything to meet your master, fearing you'd misjudge the situation and follow Qilin Zhuang to the Cloud Heaven Immortal Plane to die. And you dare doubt your uncle master. I've dared to do anything in my life, except harm your master. The situation is clear. Qilin Zhuang has returned for revenge. You can't possibly believe he'd compete with Yu Daojun for the Lingxiao realm to establish a demon kingdom, can you? If the Rice realm is established, will Crescent Lake even have a place to exist? Fight. First, destroy the blood sacrifice altar beneath the immortal plains." Sha Jin had already made her decision. As long as we don't ascend to the immortal plains and walk into danger, this king wouldn't mind lending the Mist Heavenly Sovereign a hand. As for Master, her involvement in the Cloud Heaven Immortal Plane war would have too great an impact. Our demon clan can't afford to offend the Flying Phoenix. But Master will intervene at the Twin Rice sect headquarters. I hope junior sister manages to obtain the Book of Radiant Stars, that would be a tremendous gain. Master Guan had lured his junior sister out precisely with the news that the Book of Radiant Stars was at the Twin Rice sect headquarters. Cloud Heaven Immortal Plane, North Pond Pass. The armies of the 5 northern provinces stood arrayed before the pass, spears and swords at the ready, their formations tight and disciplined. Tang Shituo commanded from outside the North Heavenly Gate, the northernmost point of the Cloud Heaven Immortal Plane, guarding the lifeline for the evacuation of Lingxiao City's citizens. From this vantage point, he could survey both the epic-defining battle raging to the south and the clashes unfolding below the immortal plains, around the 8 blood sacrifice altars, a sprawling battlefield stretching thousands of miles. Beneath the immortal plains, the northern territory's 2 transcendent figures, Ancestor Wanyan and Ancestor Tuoba, were locked in combat with 2 transcendent dead spirits. These spirits had been specifically stationed here to prevent the Snow Sword Tang Court from destroying the northern blood sacrifice altars. These weren't the only transcendent dead spirits present. Other shadowy figures lurked in the distance, deterred by Tang Shituo's overwhelming presence from making rash moves. They were waiting for him to leave for Lingxiao City, hoping to seize the opportunity to annihilate the Snow Sword Tang Court's forces and breach the pass. A vast tide of refugees poured out of Lingxiao City's North City Gate. Martial mystic cultivators from the Immortal Realm and Dao Seed Realm led the charge, followed by those from the 5 Seas Realm. The higher one's cultivation, the faster they fled. Activate the Heaven Gate formation and let them pass, Tang Shituo ordered, his gaze fixed on a black-robed elder hidden among the crowd. With a blur of motion, he teleported before the elder, Li Longshu, still trying to escape. In the next instant, Tang Shituo had seized the elder and lifted him into the air, away from the crowd. Boom! The elder's body exploded, revealing the severely wounded Li Longshu hidden within. No match for Tang Shituo, Li Longshu perished utterly amidst a final, agonized scream. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 4, Xuansheng Dao Sect Twin Rice Sect. Chapter 175 430 The Hidden Ancestor Emerges, Insects Chirp Across the Land. 175th of Volume 4. Translator. Shadow Knight AK. Editor. Shadow Knight AK. Tang Wanzhou, clad in black armor, stood atop the towering, mountain-like walls of North Pond Pass alongside several Immortal Realm great powers from the Northern Territory, gazing out across the vast plains. It was midday, and the sun shone brightly. A gray, ominous cloud bank surged over the horizon, obscuring the azure sky. Before long, their entire field of vision grew dim and gloomy. Tang Wanzhou glanced at the massive stone parapet, where dust particles trembled rhythmically. The army of the dead is coming. Below the ramparts, a towering aberrant humanoid commander, his voice amplified by spiritual chi, bellowed across the pass. Battle formation activate. War drums sound. The snow mountain stands firm. Unleash the 3 artifacts. Dong. Dong. The spiritual artifact war drums boomed, their sonic waves rippling outward for hundreds of miles. Beyond the pass, on the brown plains, the Northern Territory Army formed its battle formation. Spears pointed skyward, formation glyphs radiating from the armor of each soldier and the spiritual artifacts in their hands. The military formation coalesced. Within the formation, the soldiers' collective battle intent solidified into a majestic snow mountain. Rising 1,000 meters high, its jagged peaks stretched across the horizon, radiating boundless cold and an unshakable aura of power. It was both military might and the power of the mountains. Swish. Swish. Paper money rained down from the gray, overcast skies, scattering across the snow mountain, formed by the battle formation's war spirit. The burning paper money sought to shatter the military soul. A deafening roar of rushing water erupted from the earth. Boom. Before the battle formation, the ground split open in a chasm spanning tens of kilometers, unleashing a black tidal wave hundreds of meters high. The putrid stench of decay and death filled the air as the wave surged toward North Pond Pass. The army of the dead has brought the 5 decay dark sea. Today, we either hold our ground and triumph, or the life realm perishes, becoming the first fragment of the Netherrealm of the dead. Warriors of the Northern Territory, fight. Kill. 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 Tang Wanzhou and the other great powers of the Northern Territory's immortal realm soared to the vanguard of the battle formation. They activated 3 ancient, heavy artifacts within the formation, unleashing them against the overwhelming black tide. Above, within the thick, ominous clouds, a vast army of fierce souls materialized. A corner of a ghost city, far larger than North Pond Pass, materialized in the void. Its towering walls, moat, and watchtowers were visible, an awe-inspiring sight. A dead spirit transcendent stood supreme atop the ghost city, its eyes opening to transform into 2 radiant moons, illuminating the mortal realm. The ground trembled as a thunderous horn blared. The corpse-bone army advanced in swift formation, dust obscuring the sky. Mountain-sized beast corpses and skeletons marched alongside the military formation, their overwhelming chi and boundless killing intent crushing the plains beneath their feet. A dense forest of war banners and great standards filled the sea of bones. In an instant, the battle cries of both sides shook the heavens. Dragon-headed camels and azure flame 3-headed lions led the charge, followed by the exotic beast cavalry. Boom. Rumble. Horns and war drums echoed across Feng Prefecture as the Northern Territory's human race army clashed with the army of the dead. On this vast plain, they would fight to carve out a space for survival and determine the fate of their future. Fearless, they fought to the death. Tang Ting, the snow sword Tang Court's leader, stood tall at the north heavenly gate of the Cloud Heaven Immortal Plain. He unleashed the court's supreme artifact, the immortal slaying sword, and slashed toward the ghost city beyond the heavens. Supreme power erupted, summoning howling winds and swirling snow that engulfed the mountains. Amidst the deafening clash, a corner of the ghost city shattered within the clouds, its formation unable to withstand the attack. Southern Territory, Qubei Plains. The entrance to the underground immortal mansion lay deep within a canyon, dozens of zhang below the surface. Armies from countless Southern Territory forces, the Zhuoqiu sect, the Zhu clan, the Qi clan, and many others, marched relentlessly, finally converging on the icy plains by midday to form a battle line stretching over 500 li. Over 100 small units had already been dispatched to intercept and eliminate the rice corpses crawling out from the depths below. But they were endless. Zhuang Xian, the immortal master of the Calamity Crossing Temple, stood solemnly amidst the clouds. Gazing down at the rice corpses swarming the land like black dots, he felt utterly helpless. No matter how high his cultivation, his individual strength couldn't stem the tide. He could only watch as towns, villages, and county seats vanished one by one, devoured by the rice corpses. The slaughter spread rapidly, engulfing the entire life realm. He then turned his gaze toward the Cloud Heaven Immortal Plain, sensing the immeasurable aura of transcendence from the demon kingdom, demon race, and nether realm of the dead, the crown prince of the demon kingdom, the second palace master, Lord Lan, Qilin Zhuang, the azure phoenix, the purple phoenix, the mountain monarch Weiwo, and countless others, along with the energy of nearly 10 supreme artifacts. The entire Cloud Heaven Immortal Plain and its surrounding region seemed to be boiling. Faced with such a formidable formation, even Zhuang Xian, a top-tier transcendent, knew that venturing there would mean certain death. He would be annihilated in an instant. He wondered how long the Mist Celestial's peerless spirit could endure against such overwhelming force. Below, the Confucian Dao ancestor of the Zhuoqiu sect escorted Zhuoqiu Hongting back from prefecture, entering the military camp one after the other. Zhang Ning and Zhuang Yu were nowhere to be seen. Zhuoqiu Hongting, clad in a Taoist robe, wore a solemn expression, a stark contrast to her usual optimism. She didn't know how she would explain this to Li Wei in the future. The Confucian Dao ancestor sighed, who could have foreseen this? She probably didn't even know herself. Don't blame yourself too much. The Zhang clan has been plotting for 1,000 years, likely to welcome the return of the primordial ancestor, the source of benevolent rice. If I hadn't arrived in time, you would have been trapped, your fate uncertain. A cold wind swept in from the south, causing the camp flags to flutter wildly. The wind carried the chirping of insects. Chirp. Chirp. The insect's call was clear and resonant, echoing from a great distance. The Confucian Dao ancestor and Zuaoqiu Hongding hurried out of their tent and gazed southward. There, a rare insect with a wingspan exceeding 1,000 meters emerged from the clouds, unleashing bolts of golden lightning. The creature was breathtakingly beautiful. With each beat of its twin wings, it scattered countless shimmering particles. It's still alive. Wonderful. Now that it has emerged, we can withstand the Rice Corp's army and the Nether Realm's shadow soldiers. The casualties among the common people can be contained, the Confucian Dao ancestor said, stroking his beard with excitement. It was the hidden ancestor of the Zhuli hidden sect. The hidden ancestor had awakened this morning. Its chirping had originated in Li province, passed through Ji prefecture, and traversed 10,000 miles to reach the Qubei plains. Deep beneath the 7 southern provinces, all insect swarms obeyed the call. Commanders of rare insects, Lord Marquis grade strange insects, crawled forth from the earth, leading their insect armies to devour the rice corpses surging toward Li province until nothing remained. The dense swarms then converged on the Qubei plains, surging toward Fu prefecture. Is that the ancestor from our Zhuli clan legends? So Lord Kangming still lives. If we'd known Lord Kangming was alive all these years, why would our Zhuli clan have had to kowtow to the Sui sect and Coffin Mountain? Excellent. Who will dare underestimate the foundation of our ancient myriad clans now? Lord Kangming can command all the insect swarms beneath the Lingxiao realm, making our Zhuli army virtually limitless. Conquering the world is no longer a distant dream. The Zhuli army erupted in jubilation. For centuries, the Zhuli clan had occupied an awkward position, lacking a transcendent birth. Not only were they forced to pay annual tribute to Coffin Mountain out of fear, but they also remained subject to the Sui sect's Yangshenjing. Kangming, the eldest son of the Zhuli gods and known as King Kang, had once commanded rare insects that vanished from the Zhuli clan over 1,000 years ago. The Zhuli hidden sect had secretly nurtured them ever since. Only a handful within the hidden sect knew of Kangming's continued existence. Hidden Nine and Yin Shi rode their strange beast mounts at the vanguard of the army. Yin Shi sneered, the moment the hidden ancestor revealed himself, they all swelled with arrogance, daring to contend for dominion over the world. If the hidden ancestor hadn't concealed himself, they would have dragged him down to his death long ago. Hidden Nine nodded in agreement. With the hidden ancestor's terrifying power of command, if he hadn't remained hidden, Qilin Zhuang and the crown prince of the demon kingdom would have seen him as a potential threat and eliminated him preemptively. The tremors beneath the earth grew more violent. One after another, colossal rare insects crawled out from canyons, volcanoes, deep pools, and subterranean caves, their piercing cries echoing southward in response to the hidden ancestor's call. The insect cries spread from the southern territory to the neighboring western and eastern territories, triggering massive insect swarms across vast regions. The overwhelming black tide of insects surged into the underground immortal mansion first. The Confucian Dao ancestor, Zhuang Xian, and other transcendents and immortal realm great powers followed closely behind. The war to seize the Twin Rice sect's main hall had officially begun. The Twin Rice sect had fortified the underground immortal mansion for millennia, filling it with countless dangers. Overwhelming force would be required to breach its defenses. The space teleportation formations within the Ancestor Rice temples had already been destroyed by the Twin Rice sect, leaving the underground immortal mansion as the sole entry point. Zuaoqiu Xuanming, the Southern Territory's foremost expert, stood beside the hidden ancestor, activating the Shihuang 8 trigrams mirror. His gaze swept across the Fu prefecture, searching for any hidden exits the Twin Rice sect might use to escape, ready to seal them off immediately. At the same time, he had to protect the hidden ancestor's safety. If enemy transcendents managed to get close, the hidden ancestor risked being killed. Southern Yan Pass was shrouded in a demon cloud stretching hundreds of miles. The fortress had collapsed, leaving behind vast stretches of ruins. 8,000 giant spirit army soldiers lay scattered across the blood-soaked ground, their battle flags reduced to mud. Taishi Qingkang, the commander of Southern Yan Pass, stood with disheveled hair, blood gushing from wounds all over his body. He gasped for breath, clutching a broken halberd, his gaze fixed on the colossal demonic silhouette towering hundreds of meters tall within the blood mist. His jaw clenched, his eyes burned with unyielding defiance. The Four Extremes Ape King extended a massive hand, seized him, crushed his body, and tossed him into its maw. Its enormous head was crowned by the five-colored mountain, allowing it to manipulate the 5 elements of heaven and earth. This 5-colored mountain had enabled the Four Extremes Ape King to cultivate at an astonishing rate. After 1600 years of cultivation, its combat prowess had already surpassed established transcendents like the Crimson Phoenix. In the Southern Territory, it had once rivaled the Zuaoqiu sect, unlike the Coffin Mountain Forbidden One, who was forced to remain hidden. One of the ape's 4 arms wielded a burning war spear. The spear stretched hundreds of meters long, as thick as a millstone. Boom. With a thunderous roar, the flaming war spear swung out, shattering the southern heavenly gate and its heavenly gate formation into a shower of sparks, demonstrating its extraordinary destructive power. The four extremes Ape King strode onto the cloud heaven immortal plane, his mouth bristling with sword-like teeth. He roared, "Today, this king joins the battle to slay the heavenly emperor. The Lingxiao realm must usher in a new era." The cloud heaven immortal plane, a vast expanse stretching 1,000 miles south of Lingxiao city, lay in ruins. Blackened scorched earth, sword marks scarring the land for hundreds of miles, collapsed hills. Zhenhai Guanwu stood beneath the south city gate, blocking all enemies south of the city. Over half her body had transformed into bone. Having consumed the fourth emperor medicine, she swept her sword across the ranks of transcendence before her. Red robes, a ruined city, and the heavens above. Behind her, the south city wall had completely collapsed, leaving a scene of utter devastation. Half an hour earlier, Chen Su, who controlled the 36 Earth meridians, had been ambushed and killed by a dead spirit transcendent lurking within the city. The third palace master had then used the 9 heavens beyond the clouds grand formation to suppress and eliminate the dead spirit transcendent. The immortal plane grand formation had been riddled with holes by the demon race's elite forces, Qilin Zhuang, Azure Phoenix, Purple Phoenix, and the mountain monarch Weiwo, using 2 supreme artifacts. Huo Di, who oversaw the immortal plane grand formation, had been killed, while Duke Taishi was critically wounded. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel.